Hello, everybody. How you going? Hope everybody's well tonight. I am looking forward to this. Should be a cracker of a demo, and I'll just wait until we all get sorted. But I hope you're well, and I'm glad that everything is going well for everybody. I'm hoping that you're all having a great week. Well, you've had a great week. It's getting there, almost overish, and yeah, looking forward to it. Should be a good little demo, this one. Right. Different with these live things, I'll be obviously chatting to you guys as we go through, and also I will be, or you'll be able to watch it back later on, pause it, whatever you want to do. So you've got a few options with the live stuff, which is great. What I do want you to do, and I ask a favour, please share it among your like-minded friends, and hopefully we'll get it going and get it growing. That's the go. Can everybody hear me okay? Awesome. Pretty sure the old voice box should be audible thanks to the old microphone. Let me know if it's a bit dodge. But thank you. Who's there? So we've got a few people here already. I'll just give it another couple of minutes. But who have we got? Obviously, we've got Margaret. G'day, Dave. How you going? Good stuff. Well, that's good. Okay. All right. We're getting stuck in. This scene tonight is all about texture, creating old world textures, and just really nice, simple way of just creating some interest. G'day, Kerry. How's it going? Hope you're good. Hope you're good. Thank you, everybody, for your support this week. It's been amazing. Life's good. Texture is a really cool thing, and this, there's obviously many textures. It's not just about this sort of rustic old building kind of vibe, but that's kind of what we're going for tonight with some. It's an old European building, I think, somewhere in. Looks Italian-ish. Might be France. Could be Portugal. Could be Cessnock. I don't bloody know. But I do remember getting permission. Full disclosure, I do remember getting permission from the artist, from the photographer, to use the photo as a reference. Yeah, texture. It's good. It's going to be a good thing, and I'll show you some simple ways to make it work and do some cool stuff. Shadows. All right. Shadows are a hard one. They're usually overdone. Very easy to overdo. Like, by overdo, I mean sometimes too many of them, but more commonly, it's too dark and too overworked. So we'll go through some pointers about creating nice shadows. That should be a good one. Also, we need probably primarily in this piece is brushwork. If your brushwork's not up to scratch for this piece, it won't work, because the more you fiddle, the more you muck around with everything and just go blip, 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 it'll be gone. You'll lose it. That's the technical term, by the way. Blip, 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 blip. So we're going to do a few cool things. All right, let's go here. Just getting used to this system. Here's the image, and we'll get rid of that as well. I'm just going to cover. Well, there you go. One of them. There you go. All right, so I'll show you a little bit about this when I do the drawing up, but you can see that this reference, it's got a few things that are you could easily get bogged down with trying to make perfect and precise and all that kind of thing. You don't want that. You want nice expressive brush marks that tell the story, some nice light, keeping it nice and transparent, and with a few little dark pops. It's always good. So I'll show you more of that, but the reference photo is I'll keep it in the you know, in the spot once I get all that cranking. So my main brushes that I always use, the three top ones are non-negotiable for me. The Escoda Perlas. G'day Sherry, how you going? We've got Carrie and Sherry. Hopefully we've got Jerry and Cherry and Mary will join us. I don't know. No, thanks Sherry. Thank you very much, and hope you are well. Escoda Perlas are essential for me, and I mean, I'm always getting asked about brushes and what to use and what not to use, and preferences and all that. These are just my preferences. All I can do is tell you about what I use and what I prefer. But I think it's really important to have a nice pointy brush and a synthetic brush with a lot of spring and a lot of, little bounce back for you, so that you can control it and do some nice fine lines with it. But it's also one that's big enough so that it holds some liquid if you want to do some more, some larger passages with it. The Escoda Perla 12 is what I use most of the time. The number 8 comes in, from time to time. I use it a lot when I want to, and I'll use it tonight here the same way. I use it a lot when I want to just have a bit of water on the brush and just soften bits and all that. So I usually use those two in tandem. The Escoda mop, that's the Quario. They're great. They're just fantastic. Squirrel hair, nice metal ferrules so that they don't come unstuck and all that kind of thing. Yeah, perfect. And I've got the 14, and there's a bigger one somewhere. These are all the things I use for most things, and I generally, especially when I'm demonstrating, I'm using quarter sheets. So all good there. Now, some kind of a sable round. This one I believe is an Art Spectrum one that I was given. It's a nice Kolinsky sable. It's nice and soft, and comes to a nice point when it's wet. And it's I like them to use in lieu of a mop, so you don't have to just use the mop all the time for bigger areas. If you want to, and I'll use it a fair bit tonight because you can create some nice dry brush passages and things, which are just some different textures. That's all. And you can abuse it if you want, and it'll go back into its shape. All that kind of thing. That's good. The springy rigger is a must-have for me, absolute must-have. You can get sable riggers and all that sort of stuff. They just don't work. You've got to have some kind of spring, some sort of give in it, so it bounces back and you can control it a little bit. And of course, last but not least, we have Skippy. Skippy is one of my favourite brushes for foliage. I've got a couple of these sort of things, just old brushes that you abuse and create all funky shapes with. That's all. But they are my brushes. Get rid of that. And my palette consists of these colours. And that, move that there. So I'll use probably 3 or 4 colours maybe tonight. I don't know. Just doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how many colours you got. Usually you want for harmony, you want to use, 5 or 6, 7 maybe in a painting. But depending on what you're going for, overall, this is a fairly decent mix of colours. But anywho, let's see what we can do here. I'm going to bring that up. Thank you very much. And I will get stuck in. I'll bring this up, and what I'll do is I'll put the reference photo up in that corner there, so you can still see where I'm going with the water, and you can see the palette and all that kind of thing. So you should be right. And I'll just go and straighten up. Hopefully everything is good. Now, if you guys can tell me who's there, tell me who I'm talking to. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. And I'll go and show you a couple of things with this drawing that I was getting to before. It might look like a fairly complex kind of scene, sort of. I'm here to tell you it's not as tricky as you might think it is. Just making that all nice there. Good. So let's get the iPad out for a second. And there's it. Okay, just want to show you something. You can see that. I'll just turn that black and white. Doesn't matter. Painting along, Kerry. Good stuff. Excellent. Now, I just wanted to show you, like, you could be forgiven for thinking that it's a fairly complex drawing with lots of little louvers and shadow bits and dark bits and light bits, and the doorway itself you can get lost in a little bit, but it needn't be. I'll show you something here. If you do this on your iPad, whatever, it's good. Mark it up. Now, I'm going to draw on this. Here's our drawing. One line, roughly. Find our horizon, our doorway, and our little bit. And we've got the shadow, the main shadows, and obviously that. They're just shapes, okay? So just think about these as shapes. That's all we need to do. We don't need to worry about being detailed or anything like that. It's a bit fruity, I can see. Didn't mean that, but anyway. But it's okay. So you don't have to overthink the drawing. That's all we want to do. And I want to revert it to its original so I can use it as a reference. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to start. Draw a couple of things up. All right. So yes, I've got. Oh shit! Sorry about that. Yes, I've got creaky floors and all that, but tough titties. That's what it is, eh? All right. So the composition's good in this. It's nice and simple. Out there, you want to have enough room for this shadow to really do its thing. So I'm just taking that line from the top of the door, or the top of the horizontal part of the door at least. Come over here. Come over here. And this is the only bit of careful you need. Nothing. You don't need to worry about being careful. Being careful is for brain surgeons. I'm assuming you've probably got to be careful if you're operating on someone's brain. It's just a hunch that I have. Shadow, we'll put a rough mark in where it's going to go. That's fine. And there we go. Look at that. I'm not even going to bother with these fancy bloody what's-a-doobies down here. Doesn't matter. And that's kind of it. Once we get going, we get cracking on that arch. We can then, what I'll do, I'll move. Yeah, I'll have to move that shadow down. That's okay. It's good. And then we'll have to make sure that shadow on the right follows nice and parallel with the one at the top, just to make it look nice. That's kind of it for our drawing. That's it. So I'll just let that sit there for a second. If anyone's got any questions and things, please feel free. Oh, good stuff, Meg. No worries. Excelente. So yeah, this piece I did the, it was, I think, painting number 13, I think, in the, what do you call it? My quarantine collection. So it's worked out really nicely. I'll just go and grab it and show you. I'll just show you via the camera though, which I'm sure you all saw on the Facebook page, but I'll bring it up anyway, so you've got something to refer to. Let's see. That kind of thing. Looks alright, huh? It's nice and simple. A few little highlights and some texture, lots of texture. Look, I'm going to issue a warning right now that, and I want you to do it too, because you're in the confines of your own home, I'll be spitting on it a little bit, not heaps, a little bit. So you just wait and see. It's all a bit of fun, but it really works. So I'm going to push on. Here we go, nice casual. What brush do we want first? I think I want the sable. Yeah. Sable, pointy sable brush. Now here's the thing. Here is a thing that I want to tell you about. Too often with scenes like this, like European buildings, old sandstony things, anything sort of old and earthy kind of coloured, tends to be overpainted as far as it loses its transparency. It just gets overworked and there's nothing transparent, and that's where you lose all your glow. All the glow on the page is just lost then, you know. Just looking at the questionnaires for it. Should be done. Oh, really? For that, good question. For me, about this scene in particular, is it's going to be a bit of both, because I want some nice dry brush passages with some like little white paper. I want some white paper left, dry brush, scratchy white paper. But I do want some areas of wet on wet, so you get some nice blending and things. But I'm going to draw the line at spraying or wetting the paper down with a brush. And to start it, I'm just going to grab some water and flick a few. I'll make sure that I try to avoid my power board over there with the water. So if you hear me sizzle, I might have been a dickhead and set myself on, well, electrocuted myself anyway. But yeah, I'm just going to wet it like that, okay? Just sort of a bit all over. And you can leave it for a second if you want. You don't have to work straight away. What I will then do is find a bit of a earthy colour to go underneath everything and put it on the same way, really. This is the fun bit. This is that creating of textures. Just throw it on. I've got a bit of raw sienna in the palette that I've just squeezed. I don't know if you can see there, just from a painting I did the other day. I got a bit of quinacridone gold, so it's there on my palette. It's an expensive paint, so just use it, eh? Why not? This might look like a lot, but remember there's a hell of a lot of water here. So I am mindful of that, and it will lighten up a lot. What I want is this initial wash to be really transparent. There's a bit of transparent orange that will throw. A bit of burnt sienna. I know it all looks a bit crazy, but don't panic. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to dry the brush off a bit and, you know, just start to, not scratch at the paper of course, but just start moving things around a little bit. Lots of water, leave some white of course, like I was saying before. These sort of little dry brush sort of marks that you get, leave them. And you see that there's some cool textures and things already happening. No worries, no problem at all. Ask away, ask as many questions as you want through the whole thing. Pick my brains. I've just got a bit of blue or grey or something from the palette just to break it up a little bit. Still not heaps of moisture. I just want this whole thing to be nice and transparent once I'm done. Now I'm not interested in copying absolutely everything exactly where it is. That's just boring to me. It's not painting, it's just being a, I don't know, printer or something. I don't know what, something that just replicates, duplicates. Nah. It's all about personality, art. None of this decorative bullshit we all get fed, and, you know, let's take a nice little, yeah, no decoration. We just want art. So, what I will do at this point, and I often do this for these kind of things, it's just another way of texture. It's all about the texture, and I want it to dry off a little bit. So just grab a whole bunch of tissues, just clean obviously. Wouldn't matter if they were heaps dirty, really, wouldn't. But some clean ones. See, there's where I've used that brush, that's okay. A little bit of a mark there, that's all right. Just getting the pointy brush for a second. Just come back into the greys. Now, what I want to do first though, I do just want to dry it off a little bit. I don't want it dried all the way. I just want to dry it off a little bit so I can take advantage of it being damp rather than wet, you know? Yeah. Just everything, whatever. It doesn't matter, we're just putting little bits of stuff. Brushwork. Remember what I was saying about brushwork? This is it. Texture. All looks like a big mess right now. And you're thinking, what the hell is this bloke doing? He's got no idea. Trust me. He'll be right. But remember, there's so much water going on here under these initial washes that it'll, yeah, it'll kind of disappear almost as this wash. It'll be nice and light. But what I do want to do now, while I've got it sort of pretty damp, is I've just got this green aquary kind of colour that I sort of put underneath it. I don't care if it bleeds. In fact, better if it does, because it's a watercolour. And just putting that under there, it'll just give us something. See, I'm not colouring in. I'm not getting rid of those little bits. You might get rid of them later on in the process, but while over there, cool, leave them, good. And we can also grab the silly brush and go in with think with that tree, the little shrub. Want something quite light over the top, underneath. Something kind of like that. But it's just a wash again. You know, nothing definite there. Whatever. Let's go into wrong color, dickhead. Wrong color. I chose the wrong color. Oh shit. Nope. Alright, let's just go back in there while they're wet. Cool. And that's the wash done. That'll do us, I reckon. So it's all rough and ready. Express yourself. Don't get bogged down in fiddle farting. No fiddle farting. The only farting I want to hear, well, I don't want to hear any of it, but I want to be secure in the knowledge that I know that the only farting you're doing's after your dodgy vindaloo. Not my floor. All right, here we go. Adele's coming. I'd normally kind of let this dry naturally because the paint moves around a bit more and, you know, other things can happen. But if I were to do that during a live demo, we'd be here for a couple of days. And look, we've got to go to sleep at some point. That's all right. We're getting there. So feel free, keep asking questions. If you're painting along, I'll not slow down too much, but I'll try to remain mindful of that fact and give you a bit of leeway. All right, here's a little bit of spitting. No, it's gone too dry. Too dry, that's all right. We can get some texture in there later. Hey Maro, how are you, mate? Good morning over there in Brazil. Whereabouts in Brazil, man? There we go. Yeah, going all right. Looking all right. So we kind of pretty much start in on the door now. But I'm I'm going to work from the top down, I think. Yeah, let's do that. Alright, let's go here. I'm not copying these arches as they are in reality because life's short, but we'll get the gist. Just a bit of that. And a bit of that shadow to come around. And in my piece I did before, I ended up with another one sort of around there somewhere. It's all right. It's all just real rough and ready and rustic. It's another word for rough. But it's all good. Just keep plugging along. And as long as we're getting some of this watercolor magic happening, we're laughing. This kind of thing is good. Something like that. That's pretty cool. Now, just going to bring that across just to exaggerate the timing of that, really. I'll just wet brush a little bit and sort of drag that across just to give us that little bit of a broken edge. And start putting things like that in. Watercolor, mates, watercolor. You let it do its thing for a little bit. Funky colors. Why not? I'm going to bring that all the way around. Yeah, that's better. That's better. All right, I'm in danger of overworking that now, so I'm going to leave it. That's good. Now, I'm going to do a second layer on the good old door. Ugh, a bit blue. But I just want a couple of dry brush marks. This kind of thing. Notice I'm not deliberately not sort of colouring anything in. I'm just a bit of expression. Dare I say it again? Just a bit of stuff. You know, bleed it all in. That's good. Good. It will come together when we finish it off. So texture, texture, texture. Okay. Just having a look. Yep, that's cool. We can now, just while that's drying a bit, actually, what I'll do, a couple of bits of blue or whatever's there, splashy washy, Doesn't matter if you get stuff up there. Good. Good. All right. Just showing off now. Well, not showing off. I'm just being silly. Okay. Cool. So, a bit of green. I want to keep it pretty natural. We don't want it to be garishly green. So, notice I'm deliberately not mixing everything perfectly and then colouring in with it. Things are mixing on the actual paper. So lots of, stuff going on there already, which is good. Now let's get a darker blue or a purple. And this is that good old Skippy brush. And we're just getting the darks in there. Why not? Now's as good a time as any. But I know in my head that I've got that plan. So the next stage will be to dry it again, start the shadows. We'll put the shadows in and then finish it off. Yeah, tidy it up. This sort of piece always comes together with the last, most of them do with watercolor, just with the last little flourishes. I do like to just whack some water on there and give it a hand. Let it do some work for us. Create something nice. I'll just catch that a little bit. Just while I've got this, I'm just going to go through and get a bit more different sort of textural marks. I've got some fairly thick, sort of burnt sienna-y type stuff going on. Now I'm never ever going to go and paint all these bricks, and that's a definite life's too short moment. But we can, make some rough marks so that, it kind of tells a story without you having to do much. That's what we're after. The more you can do that, the better you're off. Better off you are. That's just a bit of lavender in there, and I'm just going in with a nice dark neutral tint just to let that move around a bit. It's becoming a little bit unruly up here, so because I've got to have that area here to put that extra shadow in. It makes all the difference. But now I'll spit. Look, it's gross, but it does make marks that you can't make with a brush or a spray bottle or anything. That's the most important part. Okay, cool. Yeah, happy with that. And I'm remembering this being that I'm going to put some bright pops of red or whatever in these bushes once the time comes. So should be cool. Oh, excuse me. So where are you all from? So we've got Brazil, obviously we've got quite a few from Australia. Where are you guys from? Talk to me in the live chat. Yeah, what do I want to do? I just want to pull some of that out, I think. That's better. Actually, that's better. Okay, I'm just going to dry this off, and then we're going to do some shadows. Look at that. Don't ever worry, especially with a scene like this, okay? This is a real expressive scene, as you're seeing, okay? So don't ever worry when things like that go on. That's good. It's watercolor. Exploit it. Don't stress. So it's got to be quite dry, like pretty much 100% spot on dry before we do the shadows, because we want the shadows to be nice and clean. We don't want them to be all mixed in. You don't want to wash this stuff away. I like that bush. I like it. We've got bush. You can tell me the reference. Sherry, good stuff. Love Tassie. I couldn't imagine not calling it home anymore, even though we've only been here for a year and a half. Bloody love it. Swarups in Bangalore. Hello. You're right in the sweet spot of COVID mania, Meg. Good stuff. Cool. Awesome. See, I often say when I do these sort of live demos is that I've got that added bonus, really, of being able to view the painting in the camera, like on the screen, because I'm standing here looking at the computer screen, so I'm seeing what you guys are seeing. And it shows a really good difference. You can step away from it and check it out. Like I always say too, another thing to do is, check in with a mirror, looking into the scene with a mirror, just to gives you a little different perspective on it. All right. Well, here we go around the shadow bush. So I'm going to go over here. Look, I don't want greens. I want greys, bluey greys. But I need a fair bit of it because it's a decent size shadow. So the blue I've got there is just on the palette. It's called Paris blue. It's quite green when it mixes, but it's really nice on its own. So you just have to be careful with your colors and mix them until you get it right. If you don't like it, start again. Start on a different well. Okay, needs to be I'm just making it stronger. Yeah, cool. All right. Might as well get into it. Shadows. Yeah, the lights give me a little bit of grief, but I just want to come across to about there, I think. Now, whatever you do, don't scrub at it. You know, I'm using the tip of the brush, and it's a soft brush, and I'm really careful not to be scrubbing at it, because I don't want to disturb the underneath stuff too much if I can avoid it. And go in somewhere with a different colour, that's all right. They're not always the one colour shadows, so you can strengthen them and weaken them, all that. Now with that same mix, that purpley grey mix that I've lost a bit of, just going to come down from here, straight in. As long as you get that parallel line, it's really important. Keep that nice and straight, and get some shadows in there as well. Just a bit more volume. Now I can see, so you keep an eye on things, that is about to give me grief. So I'm just going there with a thirsty brush. You can sop some of it up. And while you've got it in your brush, you may as well use it. This shadow colour, need a bit more. Another little sort of hint there too is always break your lines up. Don't ever put perfectly straight lines all the time. It just gets boring. Just going to have that shadow run back in there for a second. It's all right. That's looking pretty cool. Okay. Ooh, lost me brush. Okay. May as well do some of that just to get a bit of shadow colour in that space. It's cool. And we'll do the shadow on the door. So it's coming down from about there. What I'm going to do though, just something different. I'm going to make the shadow on the door here a bit softer than it is in the image, in the photo. And just do that just by softening up a bit of the edge. I'm just exaggerating that shadow down there a bit too. So yeah, there's a shadow over here, comes right down next to the door, sort of sits everything on the ground a bit, which is good. There, scratchy it up. I want to go in there a bit stronger because it's a lot of water around, so everything's going to dry off lighter. So I want to be quite strong under here. That should be right. Yeah, these are fun, these ones. So I like that. Yeah, it's okay. That's not too bad. Just want to shape it a bit better. That'll do. Cool. Yeah, just a bit of water. So I want these shadows on the ground, as they are in the image, in the reference, they're nice and soft. So I've just got water spraying around. I don't care if it's not exactly in the right spot or anything, or there's some hard edges. That's a good thing. It's a variety thing. But predominantly I want some nice soft stuff. That's kind of how you have to approach it, just with reckless abandon. Just go for it. Just go for it, mate. It's only painting. Don't worry about it. That's it. I'll just go a bit darker right at the base of the tree. In there. Ugh. Ugh. Just wash that out a bit. That's fine. That's fine. Like I said before, there's so much water here that things will soften up nicely and lighten up a lot. And we can always just let it go. Right. Just let that sit for a second, I reckon. Yeah. Look at that texture on the door there. It's gross, I know, and I apologise. I believe it's the first time I've ever done it in public. It's a bit gross. Spray a bit, again, splash a bit of water, that's fine. And it's coming together slowly. Oh, good stuff, Murray. Excellent, mate. Good to hear. Good to hear. Alright. So it's going to dry off a little bit. But what I want to do before it dries, I want to get a little bit of colour in the tree or the bush area, just a bit, and it'll run off and do its thing, but just want a little bit there, so it's just a hint of something underneath. And then at the end, we'll put some nice bright stuff on there. But here we go. I'm going to dry again. Here comes the old hairdryer. We're getting there. It's just got to be pretty dry because I'll start to do the dry brush and little bits of calligraphy and things now. You can see how that shadow on the ground has softened up really nicely. Nice soft areas, so it looks nice and diffused. But you've still got a couple of hard edges, which is nice as well. Variety is the spice of life. Variety. That'll do for now. The old drying stakes. Alright. So yeah, like I always say, these workshops and demonstrations are definitely free to participate in and join in. Please watch as much as you like, as often as you like, as much as you can. If you do feel like donating to the pirate ship and help me keep the lights on, there are links in the description here for PayPal link and bank details. But you don't have to. Don't feel obligated. If you do, great. If you don't, that's great as well. I understand. But I really appreciate any support and all support. Here we go. Just making sure the cools off a bit. Good old pointy brush. This is where the pointy brush comes in handy. Vitally comes in handy. Vitally. I don't know. You know what I mean. It's important. It's important. So we start to get some darks. Nice thick, almost sort of pure pigment kind of thing. So I've got a bit of neutral tint, but I'm mixing it with just a bit of rubbish that's around the palette. Doesn't matter. So we're talking probably almost creamy consistency. And dry brush, it's really important. This is where we sort of start getting little bits of detail without really having to paint them. It's just little bits of stuff, just suggesting things. That's all. Nothing's perfect. Perfection is the enemy of creativity. Remember that. We don't want perfect. We want beautiful and lovely and expressive and, dare I say, artistic as opposed to decorative. We don't want something that is boring, that's for sure. See how neat and tidy these slats are? The neater and tidier you do them, the worse they'll look. But it's going to come down to about there. It starts to take on a life of its own now, because I'm constantly just adding little bits of variety in there. Go down the guts. See what I mean? Don't colour the whole lot. Don't resist the temptation to go and outline everything. Just suggest things. There you go. It's nice. What else can we do? We can define that a bit more. And look, there's something there that's causing that shadow, so whack it in. Why not? Just make it a bit more darkness there. there's this big shadow here that I want to capture. So I've just put a bit of a line there because I want it to butt up against it. So I've put a bit of a line, but I'm just going back in with some clean water to soften it out, just so it looks a bit more like a shadow rather than something too deliberate, something too stark, I mean. Just wanted it to be nice and subtle. That's a bit too... That's better. That's better. It's better. Blue. It's just that variety, that's all. Bit of variety. Never hurt anyone. Yeah, we can do a couple of little bits here. You know, we can pretend that's a bit of a brickwork or something. Yeah, that's it. And I do just want to grab the good old rigger, if I can find it. Very little brush. All right, so I grab the rigger, and I'm going to put some sort of lines on the road surface or on the ground surface to give us a bit of direction there, and it'll also make the shadows pop out a fair bit more as well. Yeah. Usually with the directional lines you go into the focal point, which I think will work here because it's offset. See, compositionally, this is the frame setup, sort of pretty perfect. It's a great photo to start with. But that's really good how it's offset and it's balanced as well. But I just want some nice little directional lines. Just break them up. If you want to, you can do this sort of thing. Just keep that perspective going so it's closer together when you get further up toward the door. That's cool. Don't know what that is. That's okay. It doesn't matter. While we've got this on here, you can just muck around with it. Texture, mate. Texture. Up here I'm just doing random squiggles though. It's not for direction or anything. It's purely just to add that little bit more rough and readiness to the top there. But I don't want anything too definite, so go in with some more water here and there. There you go. Cool. More texture. Dry brush. And I like to sort of do little flourishes, that kind of thing. Bring it down. It's getting there. Almost there, except for few little pops of bright colour and a couple of highlights, I reckon. We're almost there. So I will just dry off again. All right, cool. So a couple of little highlights. Opaque colour. Let's go some red. I want that nice red in the flowers. Not heaps. Don't get carried away. Still a bit. Lavender I really like. Just dots. Yeah. Lavender got a little bit pattern like there. Didn't want it to be in nice patterns. Alright. That's cool. Then we'll go underneath it with some purple, sort of violet, just to give us some shadow. It's all nice and soft. It's good. Happy with that. Just mindful of that, not to don't want to skip around on me too much, but that's okay. Now, colour-wise, for my highlights, I will use a tiny bit of white, but I'm using Jaune Watercolor, Jaune Brilliant. It's a Holbein colour. A little bit of rhyme and reason to it. I like the highlights up there that catch the sun. I want to make a bit more of a little bit of that, but keep it. I try not to paint with it too much. Just sort of keep them as highlights, but sometimes you can, if you're clever and subtle enough about it, it's cool. Few little bits there. Get carried away. Okay, that's all you're gonna do. See how I'm just with the highlights and things, I'm doing the same kind of brush work, but I'm just not doing heaps of it. It's there, but it's definite highlight time, but they're just that, they're highlights. They're not, not the star of the show. They make a lot of difference to the end result, but don't get too caught up. I do like to do little, like I was saying, little horizontal and vertical sort of flourishes, just as a bit of a thing of mine that I've started to put into some of my work, and I really like it. I like the, I'm not painting any object as such, but it's a nice little thing to tie things down, I think. I like it. Bit of a characteristic. Those are the sort of things we're all sort of striving for, to find even go so far as to, something like this, grab a bit of lavender or something, just on the brush, but I'm just painting it onto a palette knife. Bit of blue as well, why not? So I've got something there, and just pick a spot and down, there you go. It's just something else. You don't have to do that, it's just something that I'm putting into my work at the moment. Turquoise, straight pigment. Once again, these are just highlights. Alright, now almost done. There's one thing that's bugging me, and shadows. Shadows there, that's good. Haspower. And I'm just going to thicken them up a bit. It's more water and more stuff. Yeah, they do make a massive difference. My Gazunder is beautiful. I love it. I want another one for clean water. I want a dirty Gazunder and another clean Gazunder. I don't think there's a Gazunder that is clean anymore, but that's okay. They're big enough so you've got plenty of water, so the water it gets dirty eventually, but not too bad. Ugh, creaky floors, have to get on the talcum powder again. It's alright. Let's do the white gouache. Really minimal. And let's do this. There you go. Couple of little bright green marks there. Okay. Right, so I'm just going to give it a bit of a dry off. Have another reassess. But I don't think it's too bad. There is one thing I just want to do. Just with a bit of white, tiny bit. It's all straight from the tube. Just highlight that a bit. Just pushes that back a little. Yeah, cool. Too much. Stop it, dickhead. See how I stopped myself there? Wow. Little boy's growing up. I really like this scene. Like, you know, not necessarily the particular painting or anything. I really like this kind of stuff. It's sitting well with me at the moment. Really dig it. Really dig it. What do you reckon? I mean, I know it's a demo. You know, it's quicker than I'd probably spend a little bit more time on it normally, but not much. Ah, thanks, Meg. Good stuff. Good to see you there. Thank you. But I'm yeah, really happy with that. Hello. Let's have a look. Let's split that, eh? Okay, cool. So, for you guys that are still there, what's going on? Do you like it? Are you into it? Have you enjoyed the process? Did we get some nice shadows, some nice texture, and a nice sort of different approach? You know, yeah, doors are good. I a few years ago when I was playing lots of my own music, I had my little EP was called Doorways, so I had to go searching for all these cool doors. It was good. Oh, no worries, Karen. Good stuff. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining. And please feel free to share this post around, share my channel around. It floats my goat. Nah, the spitting is it's not something I do all the time, but it can help with. We're talking about texture, and it works. Doesn't matter. It's all just DNA. But no, it's a cool thing. But yeah, please share the link around, share my channel around. If you haven't subscribed already, please make sure you do. That'd be tops if you could. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Sherry. Good. Yeah, it's something that we all should sort of be aspiring to. Is just that, you know, the dancing brush type vibe. It helps a lot. It helps, and you know, holding the brush right back at the end and getting stuck in that way. It's really good. But any last questions before we finish up the session? Like I say, in my in the description, there's details for my PayPal and my bank details as well. If you would like to make a donation, but like I say, no obligation, no stress whatsoever. I just appreciate any support. But at very least, can you please share the channel? Please share the page. Share the page. Oh, good stuff, Kerry. Thank you. I really enjoyed it too. It was a good one. Nice, nice quick one. Now, on next Tuesday, we'll be starting to do the mini workshops during the day. Little 4-hour workshops. So we'll do 2 paintings and we'll really focus in. It'll be more detailed than this was tonight, and I'll really focus in and, you know, all of my thought processes, all of the reason behind everything will come to the fore. And that's Tuesdays 10 a.m. till roughly 1:30, 2 o'clock will usually bring us up. We'll have a break in the middle for lunch and away we go. But in this same spot, it's on my channel here. I'd really appreciate it if you could come and paint along, and yeah, we'll slow down when I do that one too. It won't be so quick. But I really appreciate your support. Any final thoughts before I pro again? Exciting stuff coming up on the podcast. Yep, season 2 of the podcast is about to begin production. I'm in pre-production at the moment, organising guests. So far, I've got Dan Marshall, another American named Todd Saal. We've got hopefully Tom Shaler from America, and quite a few other little artists and a few little things. Lots of product stuff coming up too, which will be cool. But no, it'll be good. Doing it in seasons will make it a lot better. But yeah, hopefully the season 2 will be out soonish. Yeah, I'm hoping to get it out hopefully November sometime. But I really appreciate you listening and sharing and all of that stuff. Thank you, Swarup. Thank you, mate. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I hope everybody has a great weekend. Go the Knights, although I'm not terribly confident. Never am. And I hope that you all have a top weekend, and thank you, and I'll see you soon. And love you guts. Adios. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye.